what it is that brought you to Christ?
It's personal, completely personal. I was in a place of complete darkness and crisis, terrified, confused, depression. I just felt this emptiness and darkness. And
Ayaan Hirsi Ali, welcome to the show.
Alex, thank you very much for having me.
It's been an incredible year for you, coming out as a Christian, dealing with the reactions and criticisms as a result of that. My first question is, how are you?
I'm doing very well, thank you.
I hope so. How is your life different from a year ago when you'd become a Christian, but you were getting ready to talk about it? It wasn't part of your public persona yet. How has life changed for you?
Well, I think I was troubled in my heart, in my head, and I'm in a place of peace. I'm at peace with what I do, with where I am, with my work, with my family, and it's something new for me. So sometimes there's this sense that it will just disappear and I'll go back to that time of confusion and trouble. But it's permanent. It feels permanent. It feels more permanent. And in fact, every day I feel more and more attached. I'll say attached and connected to God. And that connection then gives me a much stronger connection with everything else, with my family and friends and relations and my work.
Has the way you feel about Christianity changed since publicizing the Christianity that you have? Has that changed the way that you approach it? I imagine that there are a lot of people trying to help you determine which denomination you might be or iron out some of the intricacies of your theology. How has it been since actually coming out, as it were?
Well, I have to always bear in mind, and I think maybe there's an advantage to coming to Christianity as an older person, is that you keep telling yourself there is Christ and his teachings and the gospel and the Bible, and then there are the followers of Christ who are humans, and they see things differently and they experience things differently. And so yes, I do get all these invitations of people saying, join my denomination, it's better than the other one. And here's why it's better than the other one. I also really get a lot of people who say, I prayed for you for so many years and my prayers have been answered. And of course, my answer is always, Amen. But aside from that, I also get a large number of people who are delighted that people like me who are former atheists and vocal former atheists are coming back and saying there's something of value to religion in general and Christianity in particular. So I get that reaction as well.
And how do you feel about the fact that a lot of people are using your conversion to put a flag in a cultural moment? I mean, such a personal story as yours, which perhaps we can relay to those who don't know, becoming a political tool for so many to say, look at what's happening in the world, look at this former atheist, look at how she's become a Christian, and putting you up on something of a pedestal. How has that been for you?
So I don't like pedestals because I don't think that it's a good way of doing things. Again, my attraction to Christianity is really more of the humility and the meekness and the fact that you're fallible. Over and over again, you sin. You admit that you're a sinner, and so by so doing, you don't. You try your best not to judge others. But then, in terms of people using me, I don't feel used, but I do sense an excitement when it comes to a rekindling of religion, not so much as politics, but the religious foundations of Western society, of America, of course, and then Britain, and in the other places where Christianity was put down, was ridiculed, was likened to Islam and other religions, was called irrational. People who are Christians mocked and called stupid and irrational. And so I find that there's this excitement if someone like me can come back to Christianity and appreciate what it is, aside from even believing in God, just appreciating the outcome of this culture, I think is a big step. And so I don't see it as a political it may have something political, but it is first and foremost, it's a cultural awakening or reawakening, or maybe a cultural confidence that needs to come back.
How much of your experience in the last few years of coming to Christianity has been a result of cultural considerations, and how much a result of personal considerations, or perhaps even theological considerations? Perhaps you can walk us through what it is that brought you to Christ.
It's personal, completely personal. I was in a place of complete darkness and crisis. I was terrified. I was confused. I was in this depression. I just felt this emptiness and darkness. And I resisted all invitations to spirituality because I thought, that's not me. And even at my darkest moment, when, again, I was talking to one of many therapists who said, perhaps you're spiritually bankrupt and you should try considering doing something about that. And I thought, not me. I left Islam. My associations with the concept of God was a God of punishment and a God of anger and a God in whose name so many terrible things were said and done over centuries. So I wasn't up for that. But I realized that as human beings, we are more than just reason, and that there's more than the material and the rational, and that it's not either or. It's not that you either choose reason or faith. I think you can have both of them if you understand to keep them separate. So it was 100% personal. But then, of course, I don't live in a vacuum. I look around me and I saw similar in many ways. I know my story is unique, but in many ways it's not that unique. There's a great deal of, I'll say, disconnection in our society. And people have left whatever it is that rooted them in their society and in their families and in their communities. And for many in the West, that was Christianity. And so I've come to see that it's not just the personal, but on a community level, even on a civilizational level, the throwing away of Christianity was, I think, what was the saying, throwing the baby out with the bathwater. And so you can be like Richard Dawkins, an avowed atheist, and still appreciate the legacy of Christianity and the roots of this culture in Christianity.